Cool, thank you. Cool. Well, like people said, thank you very much for coming. Just before we get started, how many people are currently doing service accommodation? Okay, so quite a few of you. One of the reasons I find a lot of people don't do service accommodation is because they think it's very, very time intensive. So I hear this quite a bit, that it's, the money is good, you don't have to spend a whole bunch of money to get into the game, but it's too much time intensive. Like, who has time to schedule the cleaners, change the pricing, all that sort of stuff? Would that be correct? So would I be correct in assuming that's one of the things people want to learn? How do I get the time down more than anything else, right? So that's essentially what I'm going to cover today. So before I get into the system side of things, the people who are doing service accommodation, what sort of things are you doing on a daily basis when you have an apartment? So I don't mean things like accounting, because you would do accounting maybe end of the month, but I mean more so things which you're doing on a daily basis. So does anyone want to share some ideas?
Yes, communication.
Cool, so communication.
Finding cleaners, arranging cleaners.
Okay, so arranging cleaners, yep. So I'll just put that as cleaning.
Taking bookings.
When you say taking bookings, you mean like managing the bookings, or what exactly would taking bookings?
Well, like you get inquiries to either Airbnb or booking.com and to confirm them.
Okay, so inquiries, so like general day-to-day inquiries. If you get a message from Airbnb or booking.com, there's a bit of back and forth. So it's sort of ties into communication, yeah. but I'll put it into inquiries.
Pricing?
What do you mean by pricing?
Trying to keep up with the competitors on a daily basis, what they're doing, what they're not doing, just making sure your price is right.
Correct. Okay, so it's kind of like hotels, how hotels change prices by the night. A lot of service accommodation people also change price by the night, but it's obviously hard to do. It's hard to change prices every single night yourself. So, cool, pricing. What else?
Desk check-in and check-out.
Cool, check-in, check-out.
Taking payment from guests from booking.com, for example?
Yep, payments.
Marketing.
Okay, so again, marketing is something you have to do, but I want to narrow it down to things you're doing on a daily basis. So for example, once you've set up Airbnb, you wouldn't necessarily have to do it again. So I really want to focus on the things you're doing all the time, because there's a lot of things like marketing, accounting, which you can set up and check once at the end of the month and those sort of things. But the challenge people have that is too time intensive on a daily basis. So I really want to knock down the things which are on a daily basis, if that makes sense. Yeah. But yeah, marketing. yeah, correct. What else do you want to add to this list?
Social marketing.
Yeah, again, do you want to expand on that a bit?
Would it be working on like Instagram or Facebook?
Okay.
It's not working.
No, you should do social marketing, but I kind of want to narrow down on the operations of that apartment, if that makes sense. So again, kind of like similar to yours, a lot of the marketing things you can sort of set up and then you can tweak at the end of the month. Whereas there's some things you have to do again and again and again and again. It's like very repetitive things. So I really want to focus on those because those are the things people are doing on a daily basis, if that makes sense. Yeah? Go for it.
Maintenance.
Cool, maintenance, yep.
Replenishments.
So replenishments, that would include like toilet roll, toilet packs, like toiletries, that sort of stuff. Replenish. Someone had their hand up.
Well, that's what I was going to say, dealing with consumables.
Okay, so like replenishments, cool. Go for it.
Checking guest IDs.
Okay, so like security checks. Cool.
And where would dealing with feedback go into? Communications?
So dealing with feedback, I would put down into handling reviews. Yeah. Do you want to handle reviews? Yeah. Anything else? Someone had their hand up.
Keys.
Keys. What about keys?
Yes, getting all guests in.
I'll put that into check-in, check-out. But yeah, correct, you're right. Keys would be one of them. Anything else?
Duty manager, like I lost my keys, I need to go back in.
Okay, so like emergency cases? Yeah. Emergency, anything else? It's quite a list. Does anyone want to add any final sort of things? I think it looks pretty good, unless anything is missing.
Agency landlords, dealing with landlords.
I'm assuming you've already got the property.
Okay.
So I'm assuming you've got the actual SA unit. Now it's a case of how do we automate it, put the systems in. But that's something you would do as part of the whole business for sure. But yeah. Invoicing?
Yeah, you have like direct booking with companies or something.
Okay, so I'll just put direct bookings as a whole, because direct bookings are slightly different to, you know, Airbnb, Booking.com, that sort of stuff, because the payments and everything work slightly differently when it comes to direct. It's like the majority of your business, especially if you're in London, or even outside of London, will normally be OTAs and agencies, that sort of stuff, but I'll put direct here. Do you think that's pretty complete, or does anyone have any final things they want to add? Comprehensive? Yeah? Cool, we'll move on. Cool. I'll put this here. So my goal is to show you how you can basically systemize all of this. Because if you can systemize all of this, you don't have too much to do on a daily basis. Of course, there's things you do at the end of the month, you find more deals, you know, there's different aspects of the business, but I really want to focus on the daily stuff. So how many people by show of hands know what a channel manager is?
What?
A channel manager. Okay, so some do and some don't. Let me just quickly explain. What happens is this. So that is supposed to be a calendar, by the way. So it's supposed to be a calendar. Someone once said, is there a barbecue? Why the hell would it be a barbecue? But this is supposed to be a calendar. The issue is, if you don't have a channel manager and you're using Airbnb, Booking.com, Expedia, a whole bunch of stuff, well, what if someone makes a booking on Airbnb and then someone makes a booking on Booking.com at the same time? Now you've got two bookings for the same dates. So that, you know, you can't take two bookings for the same property for the same day, so you have a massive issue. And what you can't do is every time you get a booking on Airbnb, go and block the calendars on the rest, because you know you would just be doing it 24/7, just blocking things here and there. So what would happen is this. Let's say you have a guest and they've booked a property called Victoria. The guest makes a booking for, let's say, Monday and Tuesday. So therefore, they're supposed to check out. Can everyone see this? Can anyone not see it? Cool. Let's say they make a booking for the Monday and the Tuesday. Therefore, they're supposed to check out on the Wednesday. Well, what would happen is this. They make a booking. It goes into the channel manager. The channel manager then says to the cleaner, this is cleaner, see. They need to go and clean it on the Wednesday. So therefore, every time you get a booking, there's a check-in date, a check-out date, and the cleaners are automatically sent a message with how to get the keys, what to clean, all that sort of stuff. They will automatically go and do that again and again. When it comes to the check-in instructions, so there's the check-in instructions, the check-out instructions. Do you guys agree it would be far easier if every time a guest made a booking, they received a message from the channel manager which told them, this is how you get the key, this is how you check in. They go, they put the code into the box, they get the key out, they go check in, as opposed to you going to the property every single time to check someone in. Who agrees that would be faster? Cool. So what you can do is you can set up messages based on a timeline. So for example, before someone checks in, before someone checks out, every single guest is going to get those same messages. It's based on a timeline. So for example, I send check-in instructions 3 days before someone checks in. Every guest will get that. I send checkout instructions 2 days before. So you basically put all these messages into a timeline and it shoots them off. So you're not the one who's sending check-in instructions all the time. So that is typically how you would get around the whole check-in, check-out issue as opposed to someone checking people in themselves. Someone mentioned pricing. So Who agrees that hotels change prices by the night? Because there's high season, there's low season, summer, winter, weekday, weekend. Well, who's got time to change prices by the night? Not many people, right? Well, what you can do is you can actually plug in a piece of software. By the way, I'm just going through like a general overview, and then I'm going to wrap this around with the exact piece of software I use so you can get the full picture. But what you can do is you can plug a software in, and that will analyze other competitors, the hotel rates, all that sort of stuff, and it will feed it into your property. Because the thing is, no one has time to optimize price by the night. It's too much work if you're trying to, juggle rates. And especially, let's say you have a bunch of these properties. One sec. If you have a bunch of these properties, it's very hard to monitor prices for like 5-6 different apartments in different locations. So you plug this in, which will help you take it up, down, left, right. Go for it.
Sorry, is this scenario based on you managing your units yourself, or the agent should do this for you?
This is based on you doing everything yourself. So this is based off how you can plug all this in, so you can have an apartment running from a phone. Does that help?
Slightly, I'm just thinking, if you've got an agent who's managing these for you, should I be taking this to my agent and asking, do you do this? Because I don't think I do this. To be honest, I'm worried about the prices.
Yeah, you can do. Yeah, you can do. You can take a bunch of stuff and say, do you do this? Do you do this? Do you do this? Yeah, you can do. And see if they do or if they don't, or maybe they do something differently.
Yeah.
But I'm just showing how you can do this yourself. So typically when it comes to the pricing, that's how you would do it. You would plug a piece of software in, you would do a bit of research yourself, you would plug it in, and it will shoot you a price every single night based on, for example, let's say it's Wednesday and you have the next 3 nights free. Well, the system will realize that you have 3 nights free, which are up and coming straight away. It will drop the price just to get someone in. Whereas if this was 2 months away, it wouldn't drop the price because it's not as urgent. So they've already built the system. You simply plug this in. So that's pricing for you. Payments. How many people are using Airbnb and Booking.com? Okay, so quite a few of you. Now, the majority of the bookings you receive will be from Airbnb and Booking.com. When I started, Booking.com did not used to take payment. Now Booking.com also takes payment. So you can do it 2 ways. You can either let Airbnb and Booking.com take payment, or you can let the system take the payment for you. So what would happen is, every time a booking is made, you preset rules within this system. So I take payment 30 days before check-in. Before 30 days, this thing here will take the payment. And before 5 days, it will take the security deposit. So you can do it 2 ways. You can either let this thing do it, or you can let Booking.com and Airbnb take the payment, so you're not the one who's taking payment. By the way, if anyone has any questions throughout, just raise your hand and just shout out. Go for it.
How do you do it when you've got bookings, like for example you had a gap of 3 days between your pre-booked slots, and then you've got new last minute booking? How do you take the payments, and how long in advance would you expect to take the payments?
Okay, so the question is, how far in advance do I take payments if it's a last day booking or someone just booked the day before? Well, my rule is I take payments 30 days, up to 30 days before.
Or up to?
Sorry, up to 30 days. So if someone booked 20 days before, I would take it there and then. So sorry, I should have said up to 30 days before.
Do you have a preference on how you take payments, either through your system or through Booking.com or Airbnb?
So the question is, do I have a preference? Do I take payment myself, or do I let Booking.com take the payment? It's far easier if you let Booking.com take the payment. The only issue is they pay you, I think, the 15th of every month. So if you have rental due and they take a bit more time to pay you out, there's a bit of a time issue at times. It might not have to be, but at times there's a bit of a time lag there. So you can do either one. I want to touch upon, inquiries, pricing, payments. I want to touch upon communication. Who would agree communication is one of the most time-intensive parts of the business? Because the thing with communication is that it's not like it's 10 minutes a day. If it was 10 minutes a day, it wouldn't be a massive issue. The problem is, it's dotted around. You can get a message now, you can get one in an hour's time, you can get one in 2 hours' time. Who would agree that guests who are checking into your property generally ask the same questions again and again?
Yeah.
Who would agree with that? It's nothing new. It's the same stuff. What's the Wi-Fi? How many? Can I get extra towels? All that sort of stuff. The same stuff again and again. Well, what happens in this case is the guest sends a message on Airbnb or Booking.com, however they have made the booking. That message goes into the channel manager because Airbnb and Booking.com are linked to the channel manager. The message goes in there. This system has FAQs. So frequently asked questions. It's the same stuff again and again. It then looks up that question. So the question was Wi-Fi, and it shoots it to the guest. So essentially, what you do is you save a response for every single question there is. Whatever question they can ask you, you save a response for it, and 24/7, whenever someone asks a question, it will shoot a reply. Does that make sense? Now, what happens is, question comes in. Let's assume there's a question which the system does not have. For whatever reason, you didn't put something in, the system doesn't have the answer. Well, what happens is you get a text message saying guest X is asking for property Victoria, the question. You then reply via text, and then it shoots it back to the guest. Not only does it shoot it back to the guest, it also saves it for next time. So if someone else asks the same question again, it would already have the answer, and you're not the one who's kind of like dealing with messages all the time. Because here's the thing, 95% of the questions is the same stuff again and again. It's nothing new. Every now and then someone might say something, but majority is the same stuff again and again. You got a question?
How intelligent is the interpretation? Like, how does it manage the syntax of the message?
It's as intelligent as human beings, because it's human beings. It's not AI.
Oh, it's not AI.
It's not AI. It's humans.
Oh.
It's humans. So because here's the thing. If it was AI, I don't know how good AI is for the time being, but if someone said Wi-Fi, you don't know if they're asking for the password, if the Wi-Fi is broken, if they're asking do you have Wi-Fi. Yeah. There's a lot of different interpretations there, so it wouldn't really work right now, I don't think. But this isn't AI, this is humans behind it. So it's very good interpretation. That is essentially how you deal with a lot of the communication. So now, someone mentioned phone, so I'll just address it quickly. What you have is, I set up a different phone answering service, and the phone calls go there. So who likes speaking to people, by the way? Okay, well you won't after you speak to 2 guests. I kid you not. So you set up a phone answering service. Trust me, I've been there. You set up a phone answering service, so you're not the one who's getting the calls. They filter off. And here's the thing. A lot of the people who call, it's never urgent stuff. Every now and then it could be urgent, but 99% it's not urgent. It's someone saying, oh, I'm coming in 2 months, do you provide Wi-Fi? Or something like that. So what happens is, the message goes to the answering service, they send you a text, and at the end of the day, in a couple of minutes, you can address all of those. But if you get on the phone with someone, it goes on and on and on. Yeah. Whereas if someone's taken a message, again, it's a human, it's not a machine. When the human has taken a message, the guest is satisfied. Because here's the thing, you can automate a whole bunch of stuff, but what you don't want to do is that you automate it, but the customer service is crap. Because then people get fed up. So it's really a case of combining the two together. But essentially, the message will go to a phone service, you will get a text message, and then you can deal with the data.
Do you have a recommendation for that?
I'll touch upon it. That is how you deal with communication. Same with inquiries. Inquiries works exactly the same way as this. You can set up filters. For example, how many people use Airbnb? Okay, so people who use Airbnb, you will know this, that you can actually set up a filter that people can't book unless their ID is verified. Yeah, cool. So you can set up a filter on this system here that every time a guest sends an inquiry, it doesn't let them proceed with the booking until their ID is verified. So that's how you deal with inquiries. When they ask you, oh, by the way, do you provide this, do you provide that? It will do that anyway, but it goes one level above, which is it will also filter people out based on your checklist, because it's humans as opposed to AI doing it. So for example, one of the filters I have is, if I have an apartment in London and someone's booking my Airbnb apartment and they also live in London, it will flag up and they will send me a text message saying someone from London is booking the London apartment, because I'm a bit concerned as to why is someone booking if they live in London. But that's a screening checklist which you have embedded in. You're not sitting there monitoring every single guest who comes in. you feed it in, and they will do it for you, and you get a text if something does happen. So that's how you do inquiries. Someone mentioned maintenance. So for example, let's say a guest checks in and one of the lights or something isn't working, or the taps a bit leaky or something along those lines. Well, provided you've got a maintenance guy, so that's maintenance guy, the guest will send a message to the system. The system, again, because it's humans as opposed to AI, will recognize it's a maintenance issue as opposed to like a general booking issue. And provided you have a maintenance guy in the system, so you have like either an employee or someone you pay to do things here and there, it will shoot the message to them as opposed to sending the message to you. Because you don't need to deal with this stuff which is maintenance based, because you have a person there who does maintenance. Does everyone get that? Yeah. Emergency. Emergency is a cool one. How many people have heard me speak before, by the way? Okay, some of you. So I talk a lot about getting corporate bookings, right? Getting like 3-month bookings and all that sort of stuff. Well, a lot of these agencies like Silverdoor, they want you to have 24/7 support in case a client has an issue or there's an emergency and all that sort of stuff. Well, with this piece of kit, they have an emergency phone number which you can give to your guests. So if it's 3-4 in the morning and there's a real emergency, they can call the channel manager as opposed to calling you. Does that make sense? So for example, let me give you an example. If a guest loses a key, there's a lot of people messaging on Airbnb once you have a few of these apartments, and it's hard to monitor every single one. If the guest loses a key, it's more of an emergency than someone who's saying the Wi-Fi isn't working. Would you agree? Yeah? Well, what would happen is the system will filter out that's more of a serious issue, something which needs immediate attention, and they will text you and they will also call you. So the system will actually call you saying there's a serious issue. Obviously, if someone has lost a key, that's hard to automate because obviously there's a key gone missing. But what would happen is they would call you and then you can let them know where their spare lockbox is or something along those lines. You can have like a set of processes. So for example, if someone lost a key, you just tell them where the spare lockbox is, they just go to that. But they will call you in those emergency situations as opposed to you looking at every single message trying to work out which one's okay, which one isn't. So a lot of the emergency issues will again be dealt because of this. Cleaning, laundry. Okay, so I mentioned the cleaning stuff here. My cleaners also do the laundry, and my cleaners also replenish things. So what you actually need is you can have some sort of checklist. So when the cleaner goes in, they've got a checklist. Is there enough tea? Is there enough coffee? Is there enough toilet rolls? All that sort of stuff, and I'll show you how to do that later. But the cleaners will typically do the cleaning, the laundry, and replenishing of the stock. Review. Go.
For the emergency
Yep.
issues, do you, as the host or the provider, do you have to be contactable 24/7?
Technically you do, but it's a case of what is already considered an emergency. It's mainly, for example, if there's some sort of flooding or if someone's lost a key. Now the key one's the easiest thing. You just have a spare lockbox and you just send them the code. It takes 10 seconds. The real issue you have is if something gets flooded. It's a bit of an extreme, but technically you do. Technically, if someone has an issue 24/7, they should be able to get hold of you. So in those extremities, yeah, you would have to sort it out. But there's a whole bunch of things you can do before you get to that point, so you don't have that in the first place. We just run through a few more things. You just write the question down, and then we'll do like a Q&A. So that is technically how you would. Okay, someone mentioned reviews. Now Airbnb likes it if people respond to reviews. So if someone leaves your review, you should then respond to their review. Well, again, you can set it up within this, so every time there's a booking, it will review the guest. 3 days after they check out, I've got a thing set up, it will review it for you. Because I don't have time to review every single guest, it will do that thing for you. Airbnb likes it, you get to review people, it's all good. But you're not the one who's physically reviewing every single person, so reviews. Laundry we've done. Replenish we've done, inquiries, pricing, check-in, check-out, payment, maintenance, emergency. Okay, does everyone get this? Just want to stick this here. Okay, so communication we've spoken about. Cleaning and laundry we've spoken about. Every time there's a booking, it will shoot to the cleaners. So cleaner, replenish. There's laundry here somewhere. Laundry. The check-in and check-out we spoke about. Pricing, you need a different piece of kit which will plug into your main kit. Reviews we spoke about. Security we spoke about. Now security I'm going to go a bit deeper into later on because it ties into my example. But security will generally be done because it's the same stuff again and again, right? You request the same details from everyone. Inquiries is the same as communication. Maintenance, emergency, they'll contact you and then you have to deal with it. It's like one of those extremities. The direct stuff is slightly different because you would take payment yourself. It doesn't take that much long, nor do people get direct bookings every single day. And there are things you can put into place, but it's kind of like a bit deeper than the scope of this talk. So I'm going to leave the direct stuff out for the time being. Any quick questions on any of this? No?
For Booking.com, obviously you can shoot out saying, can you please give me your ID?
Yep.
Chasing if they don't send it. That automates those. That's something unfortunately you just have to do.
No, you can automate that. You can automate that. So what I'm going to do now, this is how the core concept works of all the systemization. What I want to do now is I want to run through the exact pieces of kit you need so you can just simply plug them in. Because there's no good me running through all of this, but you go home and you're like, well, how the hell do I actually do it? So I want to plug the two in, and this will make a lot more sense when I go through the list of systems. So the first one being Guesty. Guesty, let me get rid of this again. By the way, if you can't see that, if you just take a picture, maybe you can see it later. It's hard to see, isn't it? Can you see it? You can see it. Cool. Guesty is essentially this thing which sits in the middle. Everything I'm going to go through now is going to plug into Guesty. Imagine like a USB plugging into a laptop. That's essentially how everything plugs into Guesty. So Guesty is this thing in the middle. When I say the communication, Guesty deals with that. When I say the payments, Guesty deals with that. The inquiries, Guesty will deal with that. Go for it.
Is Guesty the channel manager?
It's the channel manager, correct. Guesty is the channel manager which sits in the middle of all of this. The next one is Rentals United.
Question for you, Ahmed.
Go for it.
There's multiple channel managers out there. Did you specifically research and go for Guesty? Did you look at the advantages and disadvantages before you chose it? Or?
Okay, so the question is, because when it comes to the channel managers, there's a whole bunch of them. Kigo, Toki, Guesty, there's different things you can use. And people always say, why Guesty? Or people always ask other people, why Toki or why Kigo? And people just say, oh, because it's the best. Well, when it comes to Guesty, Guesty is the only channel manager which will give you 24/7 communication. Now, I wanted a business model where I have no employees, the whole thing is automated, I'm not managing it. So based on what I wanted is what fits with my business model. If you wanted 20 staff, you can probably get a cheaper alternative because you have 20 people running the show. Whereas I don't want 20 people, I just want a piece of kit, I plug a property in, it's good to go. I plug another one in, it's good to go. No employees, no nothing. Guesty is the only channel manager which will do it 24/7. So that's why I use Guesty. Hope that helps. Okay, Rentals United. Rentals United, essentially what that does is imagine you have imagine you have Guesty, but now you want to advertise on Airbnb, Booking.com, Expedia, HomeAway, Hotels.com. Like there's hundreds of these like online travel agents, what we call them. What Rentals United will do, Guesty, assume this box here is Guesty, it feeds into Rentals United and it will put you on all the OTAs. So as opposed to making hundreds of accounts and managing different things on different websites, Rentals United will put all of that into one place. So that's what Rentals United does. It basically allows you to market to different channels, if that's put simply. Stripe. So Stripe, how many people know what Stripe is? Okay, quite a few of you. Stripe is kind of like, essentially it's a payment gateway. So have people heard of WorldPay? Yeah, WorldPay. It's like WorldPay, it's like Sage, it's like it's basically anything which allows you to take payment online. So what happens in this case is this. You have Stripe, which again links into Guesty, right? Every time you get a booking from Booking.com, because Guesty is linked to Booking.com, it's able to take the payment. Guesty itself is not a payment processor, it can't take the payment. It has to have a payment processor linked into Guesty so it can run that functionality. A guestie in itself can't take payment. It's just an automation tool. It's not a payment processor. So you need a payment processor which links to guestie so you can then take the payment. So that's Stripe. The next one is properly. How do I put this? Has anyone ever had a challenge monitoring cleaners? Has anyone had that challenge? Yes? No? Yes? Cool. Yeah. So what properly does, again, is another one of these tools. I know this diagram sucks, but it's another one of those tools which plugs into guestie. So what would happen is this. The guest makes a booking. The booking goes into the channel manager. The clean, now you know there's a clean which is supposed to be scheduled on a Wednesday, right? Because they booked Monday and Tuesday. That will then go into properly, which will then send it to the cleaner. Now, channel managers, as some of you will know, channel managers do that already anyway. So if you use Toki, Kigo, they will send you to the cleaner anyway. So why am I introducing another step in the middle? Well, because what it allows you to do, sorry, my bad, it allows you to have visual checklist. So what happens is the cleaner goes into the app and they've got this checklist here. Can you see these icons? They press the icon and it tells them what to do, and the cleaner then has to check off that task. Because with service accommodation, the property has to be kind of like a show home. It has to be dressed in a certain way. It can't just be clean. The cushions have to be in one place. Everything has to be done in a proper way. So if you get new cleaners, or maybe your old cleaners leave or something happens, they don't know how you like the property. But when you have professional pictures done, which Tibor can do, by the way, there's your plugin.
Thank you.
He can do pictures. So Tibor comes and takes a picture. You put that picture on the app, right? Now you've got the picture. This is how you like it set up, because that's what the pictures show. You then put all these icons on, like wipe, refill, blah blah blah. The cleaner goes in, opens the icon, tick, opens the icon, tick, opens the icon, tick. So the reason I've introduced this step in the middle, because there's a visual checklist, so you get the property like you want the property. The second.
How do you know that she done it?
Step 2. Okay, so step 2 is this. You can introduce a thing where they have to submit a picture. And as you can see, it says take photo, you can't upload photo. So it's not like they took a photo a week ago, they keep plugging the same one in again and again. They have to take photo. So again, because with monitoring, the issue is, if you don't go and check the property every single time, it's like, how do you know they've done the correct job? The app is so smooth, it's not a hassle at all. They simply press a button, take a picture, 10 seconds and they're done. And this way, you've got visual proof. So if a guest ever says, oh well, this isn't clean, that isn't clean, you can just open up that picture in the log and you've got the picture there. The other good thing is this, if there's any sort of damage, they can also take the picture of the damage and they can just report the damage there and then. And it will get linked to the same guest, because as you can see, it would be linked to this booking. So you can then go and charge the guest and all that sort of stuff. Someone had a go on.
So you will have to train the cleaner how to use this app as well?
Well, I mean, it's so simple. It's like, how do I put this?
Taking a photo.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very simple, unless the person's completely, like just.
Okay.
Don't use them.
Yeah. It's very, very simple. It's you press a couple of buttons and it's very, very simple. That's properly. So that's why that step is in the middle, for damage, for monitoring people, all that sort of stuff. So the next one is hostfully. How do I put this? Hostfully links back down to what I mentioned here with the FAQs, because as we agreed, people ask the same stuff again and again. A lot of people have manuals, so they have like a printed thing in the apartment. The issue with a printed thing in the apartment is no one can read the printed thing in the apartment until they actually check in. Right? You can only read the manual once you're actually at the property. Well, with Hostfully, you can do two things. You can send them an online manual and you can also print it. So this is essentially what it looks like. Okay, no one can see that because it's tiny. Essentially, you have different things. This is an online link you send to your guest. So again, this will also be automated, so it will shoot it to you. It says arrival, house manual, departure. It tells you how to arrive. It tells you the manual, how to use everything, all that sort of stuff. So it's the FAQs, it's how to check in. You have picture-by-picture instructions, all that sort of stuff in one place. You shoot it to the guest. Sorry, my bad. again, you can't see it. Essentially, when you go into arrival, you have different modes of arrival. Some might come by a tube, by bus, by car, all that sort of stuff. Well, this one says train. What I've done is I've taken the train station on Google Maps. I've done like a walkthrough to my apartment, and I've done a screenshot, and then I've said how you get there by a train. And you put that in for, I'm going to have to take questions at the end because I think I'm a bit over. You basically put that in for every single one, and no one will ever ask you, how do I get there by this X, Y, and Z. The other thing you can do is this. You have FAQs. Can people see this at the back? Yeah? So you have, how do you use a sofa bed? How do I throw the trash? Again, the general FAQ things. So for example, this one says, how do I throw the trash? You have a picture of the building where the communal bins are, and you just write a description that this is where the bins are and this is how you throw the trash. Now you've sent an online manual and you've got a printed one. So a lot of people who were going to call you, someone mentioned calling, a lot of that will be eliminated because people will already have all the information. No one wants to call people anyway. The only reason people call is because they can't get the information. So you feed everything in. APA, you essentially have a virtual phone number. The guest will call them as opposed to calling you, and then it will feed back through to you. If someone gets on the phone to you, it goes on and on and on. This way you set this up so the calls are filtered through. Beyond pricing, this is essentially how you change pricing by the night. And again, so you have beyond pricing, again it links into Guesty. So as you can see, a lot of this stuff links in. Even though they're separate pieces of kit, it feeds into Guesty. Everything feeds into Guesty. So what happens with beyond pricing is this. You set up an account. Again, it's a bit tough to see, but essentially what happens is this. You have your property. You set two rates in beyond pricing. You set your base rate. So for example, if you're in London, let's say you're trying to make £150 a night, you will set 150 as your base. Beyond pricing will then take it up or take it down based on your base. So high season it'll bump it up to 200, 220. Low season it might take it to 125. So you have a base rate, and the second thing is you have a minimum price, the lowest you're willing to accept. You put those two rates in and it will filter it up and down for you. And you simply make an account and you connect it to Guesty and it will do the rest for you. I've written a quick article. These are some of the apps I use, not service accommodation per se, but these are some things which also help you get everything onto an iPhone. So if you go to my website, there's an article there, you can have like a detailed read, but it's things like Asana and all that sort of stuff. It's just things like Dropbox, M-Secure. They're not service accommodation apps, but they're apps which help you get a business onto an iPhone. So have a read if you have some time. Huh?
Or Android.
Yeah. Yeah.
Convert you on it.
Yeah, or Android if you are still back in the day. So, iPhone or Android, either one works, but it's just I use an iPhone, so. Cool, have a read, there's a few things there. One of the things on this list is called Asana. Now, a lot of the stuff I've talked about is to do with the systems, but what's also important is how you then automate a lot of the systems. Let me give you an example. If I said to you, you need to get a virtual assistant, which country would you think of?
Philippines.
The Philippines, right? Because everyone talks about the Philippines. Well, huh?
Anywhere in the world.
Yeah, well, Philippines is a big one, but did you know the Philippines has a law that you can't work 7 days a week? Who knew that? Right? You can't work 7 days a week. So now, therefore, you can only work 6 days in a week. And if you need 24/7 support, well, you need 2 people for the week because someone can't work 7 days, but then they only work 9 till 5. Service accommodation, kind of like the hotel industry, is one of the few businesses which is 24/7, 365. It doesn't exactly turn off after 5 p.m. So now if you need people after 5 p.m., now you got 2 more people. 2 people for the day, 2 people for the night. So virtual assistants is a great idea, but on a small scale it doesn't work because you need 4 people to man something 24/7. So the reason a lot of people use VAs for outsourcing, but what I think key is having systems, which I've gone through, and then how you automate the systems. And let me give you an example. When you go to McDonald's, the guy puts the chips into a bucket, right? He puts the chips into a bucket, he then presses a timer. Well, there's a 2-minute timer, he puts the thing down, after 2 minutes he pulls it back up and the chips are done. Well, that's a system because there's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. put it in, put it down, time it, put it back up. Well then, what McDonald's does now is, you put the chips in, you put it down, as soon as you put it down, the timer comes on by itself, and after 2 minutes it pops back up. So it's a case of creating systems and then automating the systems so you're not the one running the systems. There's no point in having a whole bunch of systems but you're spending hours and hours running step 1, step 2, step 3. It's a case of putting them in and then automating them. So let me give you an example. It might be a bit of a challenge to see this at the back. Someone mentioned security, ID, I believe you did. So one of the things I ask people for is a picture of their ID, right? Now let's break this down into step by step. What typically happens is you say to a guest, send me your ID, step 1. Then if they don't send it, you have to send another email saying send me your ID, that's step 2. They then send you their ID, but you have to log into it like an app like DocuSign or Signable or some sort of signing software. You log in, step 3, you then search for their name, see if they've done it or if they haven't done it, find the form and then you have their ID. Would that be correct? So there's about 6 steps in that process from start to finish. Well, I use Asana, and there's a bunch of stuff going on here to get to this point, but I use Asana, and I have a thing which says hotel registration form. I've got the guest name and when they're checking in, right? All the forms are already there onto Asana as opposed to like different apps and I'm logging in and all that sort of stuff. I click on the person's name and I've got arrival date, departure date, their address, phone number, email, picture of ID, picture of the card. I've got everything within Asana. I'm not doing 10 different things. I press one button and then I click on this, picture of ID, and boom, I've got picture of ID. What I talked about before, step 1 to step 6, that is a system because you follow a procedure. The real gem is how do you get to a point where you can collapse that system so the bits in the middle you're not the one doing. Because you can have a great system, if you're doing step 1 to step 6 every single time, it just takes a lot of time.
So is that system automated pulling all that data into Asana?
But what I've done is I've created a system and then I've run things to automate that system. So I'm not the one doing the step 2 to step 5 in the middle. And then what you end up with is with one click of a button you've got their ID as opposed to doing 6 different things. You use all these technologies, all these apps to build the systems and then you work a way to automate all of it so you're not the one doing it and it's onto an iPhone. This is a picture of how you do everything onto an iPhone in a nutshell. What I'm trying to get to is this, that a lot of these systems you can then automate. So you use the apps to build it and then you use different apps to then automate it. But there's things in the middle which I unfortunately don't have time to go through, but have a chat with me and I'll talk you through it. This is how you do everything on an iPhone. These are my contact details. You can email me, you can get to my website. Thank you for listening. I hope you found that useful. Thank you.
5 minutes of questions. Quick fire round.
Quick fire.
As you can.
Go for it.
You mentioned that there was an app in which you could just show the path on Google Maps and put in some pictures for the various places.
Yeah.
Now, is it just pictures, or you can also put videos there?
I believe you can do videos. I don't want to say 100%, but I think you can.
Because that's very important. Still, people struggle with maps. If there's a video right from the station, you just
okay. So what I've done in the past, the questions about Hostfully. What I've done in the past, I've done step-by-step instructions. So if you have the station, you have the road, you have the roundabout, you have the building. I've done step-by-step, and no one really gets confused. That's what I've done. If you can't do a video, but I think you can. Go for it.
Worst case scenario, my phone breaks down, my iPhone.
You know when I was making this when I made this presentation 2 days ago, my phone crashed for 6 hours. It literally will not turn on.
So what do you do in situations?
You use a laptop.
So all of these apps are actually up.
Yeah. You just plug it into a laptop. So you had a question?
So with your cleaners doing your laundry and replenishments, in regards to replenishments, how do you manage with the payments, the replenishment?
I think everyone's going to have a different arrangement based on their cleaners and stuff. What I typically do is they just send me a list and I'll just go on Amazon and I'll order the whole lot. So they just tell me what to order and I'll order it and they then sort out where it goes and all that sort of stuff.
Would you get that delivered to you?
No. Okay, it's a bit of a weird one. A lot of my apartments are in Hertfordshire. So I use my garage as like a hub. So my cleaner says come down for a meeting and I just pop down from my room and I'm there. I use my garage as like a hub. But in London, the cleaners do it themselves because there's like a few dotted around apartments. But in Hertfordshire, it comes to my garage. And then every now and then, because obviously there's a lot of cleaning supplies, right? Like Fairy Liquid, all that sort of stuff. Every now and then my mum nicks something because she's like, my mum's like, we're out of Fairy today. And then she goes to the garage and goes and gets it. But that's how I do it. Yeah.
For emergency maintenance, do you not have a company that responds to?
No, I've got a handyman, so I get a message, I text it to him, he goes.
Okay.
He just goes and does it.
Middle of the night or something, if there is escape of water.
Oh, well, I mean, I haven't had that yet. No, so hopefully, go for it.
My only issue is the cost. If I'm bringing in sort of 30 to 40,000 of revenue per month, they're going to take a fair chunk of that. So sometimes I might use just one or two of those apps rather than the whole thing, because I feel like they're taking quite a lot of profit out.
Is it a fixed price or is it a percentage of your
Okay. The pricing software was 1%. Guesty is 3 to 5 depending on the payment plan. But again, it depends, right? If you use the other stuff, it's like £10 a month. The other properly is £7 a month. Asana is free. A lot of this is free or is very cheap. There's only two expensive ones, which is Beyond Pricing and Guesty. Now, if you have 40 units and you can afford a few staff, maybe change Guesty to a different channel manager, like I said before. Whereas if you don't want to do anything at all, you plug in Guesty. A lot of this stuff you could probably do with Toolkit. I don't know. But again, it depends on your business model. So if you go 40, maybe plug something else in for Guesty, keep everything else the same. But the rest is cheap. Everything else is cheap.
It feels like a size amount. I either got to scale up a lot bigger and use all of that.
Yeah.
Whereas the size amount, it kind of feels like it takes quite a lot of the.
Well, see, the thing is this: if you're at a small scale, you can't exactly afford to have staff 24/7. So now you might think, well, crap, I have to give up 4 or 5%, but I would rather give up 4 or 5% than be on my phone 24/7 responding to people. So it's a massive trade-off. But I don't want to be on my phone 24/7. If I'm standing here, I don't want to be on my phone. So would I rather pay 4% to not be on my phone 24/7? It's really that debate in the middle, and that depends on everyone. So.
Guesty is just a wireframe, and it's all those other pieces.
Everything else plugs into Guesty, correct.
So it's the versatility of Guesty that you're choosing it for, right?
No, I'm choosing Guesty because it's 24/7 support. A lot of this stuff, maybe it also links with other channel managers. I don't know because I haven't used them. Okay. But I know it works with Guesty. This model I've presented works with Guesty in the middle.
One more question?
Cool, answered everything.
Oh, no.
What if Guesty crashes?
Huh?
What if Guesty crashes?
Well, then everyone go home, right? If Guesty crashes, I mean, that's kind of like, if like your iPhone crashes or like, it's one of those, if Guesty crashes, that's kind of like Airbnb crashing or Booking.com crashing. It's just one of those things. This is not a referral or an affiliate scheme or whatever. However, I have been working with Guesty for like a long time. With all these channel managers, there's an onboarding fee normally. So if you do want to use Guesty, get in touch with me and they will halve the price for you. I swear to God, there's not an affiliate or they don't pay me for it. Because I said I was going to do a talk and I'll promote them. They said if someone comes through you, we'll do half the price. So I swear to God, it's not an affiliate. I will show you. Cool.
I don't think it matters if it is.
Yeah, true. True.
Is it half price for the first year or forever?
There's normally an onboarding fee, which is half price.
Forever.
Yeah. Cool, I think we're done.
Yeah. Ahmed, thank you.
That's fine. Thank you.